Chang Wei was pleased to hear about how the fourth dragon went down based on Lu Lei's report. He smiles while holding his cigar, knowing the fact that the fourth dragon's reputation was at rock bottom. Decades ago, blood was spilled on all sides because of a fight within the factions of the Triad. The groups began quickly rallying into 5 forces, including the Business Kirin Society. That is how the Eastern 5 Dragons were formed. They quickly recovered the losses from the era of the Triad and became a much larger and more powerful organization than the previous one. Chang Wei thinks about how the Eastern 5 Dragons had fallen to some unknown bastard, which ruins the reputation of the entire Eastern 5 Dragons. He thinks about the 4th dragon Chung Bing of the Azure Dragon Society, who must be enraged since he was always putting his focus on gambling and entertainment. He must have taken a big loss from the investment. Chang Wei wishes that he could have seen his face when he heard about the news. Chang Wei then snaps his cigar, informing Lu Lei about how interesting it was for 2 of the 5 Eastern Dragons to have met the same fate. Chang Wei was beginning to get curious about the person who was challenging the Eastern 5 Dragons and asks Lu Lei if he agrees. Lu Lei gave a weird expression but ultimately says yes to Chang Wei's question. Chang Wei grips his hand hard while thinking that the deaths of the Jingsan startup and the Rising Dragon Assembly could not have been done by the same person. He did not have a good feeling about this but knew that he could not let it go. He releases the crumps the cigar left and looks at Lu Lei, asking him to reveal who the person responsible was. At the Shinsadong Barossa Gil Road, a person is seen snapping a clapperboard close as a voice yells out, "Cut." Okay. The direction tells the actors standing together that they had worked hard and had done a good job as the people around cheered them on. This was the last scene filming of the Friday and Saturday K-drama called Why Am I the Only One Not in Love? The drama became a big hit and the actors gained popularity. Arthur was the man who had benefited the most from the drama. He smiles at the crowd, causing them to go crazy and wild while telling him that they love him. The film director Kong Mansik, who envious of Arthur, asking whose son that is, but he sure is popular, while assistant director Kong Jae-ha commented on how he was incredibly good-looking too. They then commented on the guy wearing the brown coat as he takes a photo with the actors and crew. They talked about how the director has a big smile on his face but was usually extremely strict, plus the fact that he couldn't even yell at Arthur because he was the only chance for the director to have a connection to the Yushin group. They then talked about how Arthur was so bright even after 15 hours of filming a day. They had heard rumors that he used to be a pro gamer, plus he was a great actor belonging to a rich family while being multi-talented and kind too. They remarked that Arthur had everything and how life was so unfair. The crew decides to get drinks later on in the day, while the cameraman was done taking photos and told everyone that it was good work. The actors bow and the crowd cheered. The female actress asks Arthur if he was going to go to the after-film party. Hearing this made Arthur ask what time the after-party was. She blushes while telling him that she would like him to, as she was probably going to go as well. Her thoughts were filled about why she was feeling this way towards him, as she had never felt this way with a fellow actor before. Arthur was happy to hear her reply and told her that he will go if his schedule permits it. He then leans close to her face, asking her if she wanted him to come, as he would love to see her. The female actress blushes hard and was flustered. She tells Arthur not to joke with her, but Arthur tells her that she wasn't. He then hands over a piece of paper to the female actress, telling her to contact him anytime even if it is not about the after-film party. The paper had his personal number on it. The female actress was surprised to see that Arthur was handing over his personal number to her. She holds the paper carefully as Arthur tells her that if it feels too overwhelming she could reject him, but the female actress told him that she really likes it. He smiles and winks at her while informing her that his personal number was only meant for her and that he would be waiting to see her. Seeing this sight caused the female actress to exude a mean face aura which startles everyone around her. But secretly Arthur was thinking that she looked fun to play with. He soon enters his car and asks Kim Woozing, who was his executive, about what was next. Woozing informs him that he had a contract with the Sun High Group to sign, a talk show filming that he was a guest in and a brand commercial filming. Arthur lets out a tired sigh, asking if there was a fan meeting too. Woozing informs him that there was one in 15 days at Sangamdam, which an entertainment program had requested for it. Arthur then tells Woozing that he was going to log onto AC and that he should message him once they were there instead of waking him up. Arthur was using the mobile virtual reality capsule called Galaxy H55 Apple to log into AC. But before he entered into AC, Arthur asks if Woozing had found the group he wanted him to find. Woozing turns around to inform Arthur that the group of guys belonged to a hefty organization and that they were called the Rising Dragon Assembly, which was connected to the Triad, but he didn't think that they were directly connected, only that part of their group was funded by them. Woozing further explained that the group had been doing anything to expand their forces in the game, but it seems like the reason why they ambushed Arthur was to get some valuables. Arthur questions if it was because he was equipped with expensive items. Woozing agrees and tells him that the group probably wanted it to reinforce their strength. Arthur smirks and commented how the group was a bunch of funny guys who came at him like dogs without even knowing who he was. Arthur taps on the chair repeatedly, as Woozing warns him that the group was pretty annoying and based on their past behavior, they might come for Arthur once again. Arthur takes note of it. He then thinks about a gang that was related to the Triad, and that it was likely that the Yushin group's influence won't work on them, since they were an overseas organization and he had no clue what kind of people were in it. But Arthur was happy to know about those facts as he finds it interesting and was the reason why he couldn't quit the game. He places the equipment on his head and tells Woozing to make it the Force. Back into the world of AC. Damien was waving towards a stream saying, "Hi guys, it's Damien, this is my first time streaming." He tells his audience that today they were going to go to the Karakoram swamps, a place which was a great hunting spot for those who weren't at level 50 yet, and that they should go together. Bundle then asks Damien about what the hell he was doing. Damien then explains to Bundle that the purple screen in front of them was filled with people who were watching them from all over the world. Bundle was surprised to hear that it was from Damien's world that he lived in. Damien started to move towards the swamps while thinking about the contract condition on the way. He recalls his meeting with the agent back in the car, who explained to him that since Damien had signed an exclusive contract, it was recommended that he streams 40 hours a week while uploading 3 videos a week. Damien was worried that it sounded like he had to work really hard, but the agent assures him that they will provide the best treatment and support as his value was definitely very high. As Damien was heading towards the swamps, he tells the audience that it was easy to find the swamps if they had a map from the Academy or the Adventurer Guild, but decides to explain the directions anyways while thinking of the contract with Wiz Entertainment as a great boon, making him unable to sit around and do nothing. Damien then explains in detail about how they could go around the Great Guys Mountain Range and to go down the opposite side, that they can find a very creepy swamp area in the northwest region. He then remembers that going into the Great Guys Mountain Range was an act akin to suicide. The Great Guys Mountain Range, it's called the continent's roof because it's in the middle of the Arcia continent. It was hard to traverse because of the terrain and weather. The deeper you go in, the worse the terrain and the monsters become. Even before Damien's regression, the Great Guys Mountain Range was one of the most dangerous places in the Arcia continent. Even an ancient dragon's nest was found there. Bundle was becoming scared and asked Damien where they were going. Damien comforts him and tells him not to worry as they won't be going anywhere scary. Damien lands on a tree branch. Notifications pop up informing Damien that a piece of new location information has been created, that his current location was the Karakoram swamp and that his world map information has been updated. Damien was glad to have finally arrived at the swamps quickly as he had taken a shortcut. He informs the audience watching his stream that most people here would get confused about how they should walk around, but once that problem was solved, this place would be the perfect hunting spot. Bundle yells at Damien wondering if he was going to drown as the water he was stepping on looks super deep. But Damien tells everyone that it was okay as it was just an illusion. The lake they were on has a different index of refraction than other lakes. If they had the route down, then going around this swamp was a piece of cake. As Damien and Bundle ventured deeper into the swamp, Damien couldn't help but think that there were still very few people who came here, as it was hard to get to the swamps even if they knew about the shortcut. Add on to the fact that there weren't any popular farming items, and most of the monsters were pretty difficult. Just as he was thinking of the monsters in the swamp, a fierce growl catches their attention. A monster had appeared behind him, but Damien manages to kick it away while warning the viewer that monsters like these could pop out of nowhere like this, so they needed to be careful. The monster that had tried to attack them was a swamp alligator, an alligator that resides in the Karakoram swamp. It possesses triple the amount of jaw muscles and teeth. Its jaw strength is strong enough to drag most beasts. Has a protective coloring unlike normal alligators, can swim underwater without creating a single ripple on the surface. Its species was a beast and type normal with a level of 40. Its unique traits would be to have the ability to completely blend in with its surrounding environment when underwater. The swamp alligator continues to attack Damien and leaps toward him. Damien then summons an item in his hand. He rushes towards it with a smile on his face, calling the alligator a primitive bastard. Damien was able to pierce the skull of the alligator, causing blood to spill out. He then grabs a toxic potion, aiming it directly at the alligator's eye. A green explosion is set off, causing the alligator to be sent flying into the air. Damien chases after the alligator with his skills, which Doctor and Bloody Impulse activated. The alligator is seen flailing its arms around in a panic. Damien swung his knife towards it, telling the alligator that it was going to die since it couldn't adapt and get better. Bundle was holding onto his dear life as Damien went in for the kill. Notifications appear informing Damien that he had defeated the swamp alligator and gained EXP, as seen from the decapitated head of the alligator and X marks on its eyes. Damien then lifts his head up and turns to point at the disappearing corpse of the swamp alligator, informing his audience that was how they hunt them and that it was easy. But Bundle thought otherwise, as he thought of Damien as a liar, because killing a swamp alligator was not easy at all. Damien then smiles and adjusts his helmet, telling them that the time for warm-ups was over. He rushes forward with a mad look in his eyes, telling his audience that they were gonna do this for real now. A man is seen typing on a keyboard with cigarettes all over his desk, complaining that it was so damn tiring. It was Jamie the programmer who continued to complain about the fact that he did not even have a single day of vacation and that he was going to rot to death at this rate. He has various monitors open in front of him, but curses at the fact that there was nothing to watch and that even if he wanted to take a break, there was nothing fun for him to do. An online chat group pops up informing Jamie about some bad news, that a client wants the logic changed a bit, and there was an online meeting at 11 a.m., plus a briefing that he needed to do based on the pilot project he was doing. Jamie grew more frustrated upon seeing these messages, thinking that he was going to lose his mind while wondering how long he has to live like this. A stream notification appears stating that Jinsung123 Nim has started streaming. Jamie stares at the notification, thinking that he didn't subscribe to such a user, but notices he was streaming on the platform's main banner. He thinks about if it was a new streamer. He clicks on his mouse, thinking about why the streaming company would recommend someone he didn't know and that he had to turn off these alarms. But a scary zombie figure pops up and screams in his face. Jamie's was pushed off his chair at the surprise of the zombie. His soul was seen leaving his body afterward. After collecting himself, Jamie returned back to the screen to see what it was. He thinks about whether there was a stream with that kind of stuff and saw that he had 23,435 viewers. Jamie knew that he couldn't have known about a streamer who had that many viewers. He soon wondered who the streamer was. A hand appears from behind the zombie, telling the viewers that this was all they needed to do and that it was not difficult at all. Damien had appeared after slaying the zombie and asking the audience if they got it with a smile on his smile, but all Jamie could think of was a bore. His stream chat started to pop up, telling Damien that it was impossible for them and that what he did was crazy. Others wondered what the hell this is, while another complimented that his physicals were great even though they had never seen him before. Damien was surprised to see the chat's reactions, wondering why he had so many viewers and if someone had doxed him or something. He continues to stream and welcomes everyone. He informs them that he was a bit taken aback to have so many viewers on his first stream ever, and that he was currently in the Karakoram swamp, and that there are small islands here. But before he could finish his sentence, Bundle warns him about the zombies coming to them from the back. The zombies reached out to Damien to attack while he thanks the viewers for their 6-month subscription. He once again takes out his sushi knife and easily cuts the zombies into halves with a single swing while looking like a crazy person. The chat goes wild at what they just witnessed. Notifications appear informing Damien that he had defeated the swamp zombie and gained EXP. He starts to think about how from level 30 onwards, the monsters would quickly get stronger, and considering the potion and equipment prices, it was not worth it. That's why it's hard to fight elite or named monsters with just items. But Damien could make up for that with his physicals. A G sound was heard loudly and caught both Damien and Bundle's attention. A horde of monsters consisting of zombies and skeletons appears behind the both of them. The swamp skeleton was an undead residing in the Karakoram swamp, who was cursed with this fate hundreds of years ago with dark magic and has since been attacking invaders that come into the swamp. They are resummoned after a specific time because of the mana and old magic summoning seal that is still in the swamp. Its species is undead while its type was normal and its level was 38. Its unique traits was that players may be inflicted with weakness or darkness status effect if attacked. The swamp zombie was a zombie that appeared in the Karakoram swamp, a case in which humans that drown in the swamp turn into monsters because of deep resentment. They have lost their rationale because of the inability to move on to the afterlife. They tend to hunt the living. Its species is undead and its type is normal while its level is 36. Its unique traits is that it may inflict players with the overdose or bleeding status effect if attacked. A skeleton rushes towards Damien and Bundle, allowing Damien to tell his audience that he was going to start with them first. He tells them to dodge low and then hit its head right away. The zombies were alarmed to see the skeleton head drop beside them. Damien informs his audience that the undead don't get inflicted with status abnormalities other than burn. Damien then realizes that his sixth sense skill had improved quite a bit, as he could now easily see his opponent's weak spots. He thinks of the skill as being quite useful. He prepares his sushi knife before telling the audience that unless they were going to use divine spells, it is much better to just attack it physically, as he rams the knife into the skull of a zombie with ease. The zombie began to feel frightened upon seeing one of their own dead. Damien then ends his explanation on how to kill a swamp zombie. He then tells the audience that it was time for a mad movie to celebrate the subscriptions, and to like and subscribe as his eyes were filled with crazy. After a while, multiple notifications pop up informing Damien that he had gained EXP and reached level 40 while drinking a healing potion. Damien then throws the potion back into the swamp, telling the audience that's basically it for everything, about 200 to 300 per turn, as the corpses of the zombies and skeletons were scattered around the swamp. He then points to an area filled with a purple deadly aura, informing the audience that if they went back to that location, the monsters will be regenerated and that they just needed to hunt them again. There were other small islands, but alligators were present there, making it better for them to avoid those places. A zombie's hand soon pops up from the swamp waters. Zombies and skeletons were soon appearing one after the other. The chat was surprised by Damien's precision with time calculation, while another commented that it sounded like they needed quite a lot of attacks at their disposal in order to deal with all the regenerating monsters. Damien smiles while looking at his stream, noting that the reactions were pretty good, as he knew that most streamers were getting popular nowadays for figuring out monster patterns or for exploring new areas and item creations. He soon dashes forward with great speed, cutting down the zombies and skeletons into pieces while thinking if he keeps explaining about hunting spots and giving tips, he was bound to get more viewers, as he stood still after slicing the heads off the monsters. Jamie was shocked to see what Damien had just done. The viewers commented that it would be a loss to not subscribe and that Damien's control was insane. While wondering what time he will stream tomorrow, another viewer subscribes for 1 month. Damien was happy to see that more viewers were subscribing to him for 3 to 8 months. He returns his knife to his inventory, thinking that the swamp was a good place to show off his hunting performance, while Bundle calls out to him wondering if he was done with his work yet. Bundle informs Damien that he had picked up some useful things with his siblings. Damien sees this and praises him for his good work. The chat goes wild over how cute Bundle was and wonders if they were all Damien's pets, as they wanted to see the pets closer. Damien then began to show off Bundle to his audience, thinking that having these chicks loose would raise efficiency because they bring back items faster, but they were also great for the chat, allowing Damien to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. He then notices that it was time for him to log out already. He opens his inventory to check his items, noting that time goes fast with this and that the item farming went great. He was glad that it was pretty good for his first stream. He waves his hand goodbye to the chat, telling them that was all for today and that time was up. He thanks everyone who watched and hopes to see them next time. The chat says goodbye to Damien as he continues to wave back to them while being surrounded by Bundle and his siblings. The chat stream ends and Damien lets out a sigh, saying he was wiped. He sits down at a nearby tree, thinking that the swamp was a good hunting spot but the monsters were stronger than in other places, and that the monsters could regenerate in the mud. He then recalls the unique traits of the zombies and skeletons, noting that their default attacks could cause status abnormalities, meaning that he had to be more careful when using Bloody Impulse next time. While chilling on his shoulder, Bundle asks Damien if he was tired and why he didn't give him and his siblings any weapons. Damien explains to him that his attacks won't work on the zombies and skeletons and that there was no need to show everyone all of their skills, as it was a scary world where they needed to have a few aces up their sleeves. Damien continues to look through his inventory, thinking that he couldn't expose the fact that he has a hidden class as he might get betrayed like before his regression. Damien didn't expect these many items, but he had also leveled up twice and got a bunch of items. Damien had obtained swamp alligator leather, the Dead's energy, and 38,154 gold. Damien laughs at the fact that these items and results were pretty good compared to the other dungeon. He then closes his inventory wondering how the expedition team that Hatsan mentioned died, as Damien could have hunted in this place alone if he just fulfilled a few conditions. A quest notification appears in regards to the Karakoram swamp, whose purpose is to head to the swamp and find out what happened there. Its difficulty was high and recommends players to form a party who will be helpful. Damien sees the quest and wonders if he was wrong since it was not a dungeon. He holds the token of heresy thinking that Kieran's warning and the token might not be related to the quest at all. He stares at the token deeply wondering if he came to the swamp for nothing, but wanted to check something else. Bundle was feeling afraid at the presence of the token, when suddenly a bunch of random characters started to fill the air. Damien looks up and sees spirits floating up in the air. He was shocked at the fact that he couldn't see them until now. He notes that the atmosphere of the place changed when he took out the token. He looks at the token of heresy releasing a deadly red aura, knowing that something was wrong, while Bundle hides behind his shoulder away from the token itself. Thanks for watching the latest part from the voice of Manhwa. Subscribe for more content and don't forget to comment below what you want to see in the future. Like and share for more.